Thank you for visiting our channel. Only rent out a property in Malta once you have watched this video. This is a two-part series where I will share my experience as a person involved in the property industry for over 30 years, as a landlord and former CEO of a real estate company. In this video, I will tell you all about your rights as a tenant, when you can terminate a contract, what happens when repairs are needed, who should pay for them, and your rights regarding utility payments. Essentially, I will tell you all you need to know, so watch till the very end as you can save a lot of money. My name is Trafford, co-founder of Portico and Bridge, where we assist high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals to achieve travel and financial freedom by becoming global citizens. Renting a property in Malta is extremely simple. There are no credit checks and all properties come fully furnished, including TV, washing machine, plates, crockery, cooking utensils, etc. Basically all the needs you need in a home. Some owners might exclude bed linen, but usually it's also included. Rental agreements are standard, and your lease is protected under the Private Residencies Lease Act. However, you must ensure that the landlord registers the lease within 10 days of signing. All contracts must include 7 points, otherwise they will be deemed invalid, leaving you with no legal protection. The first one is an obvious one. You have to put down your details and those of the landlord. Next, the list of number of occupants to make sure everything is understood and clear with the landlord. No need to include their names, just the number will do. Essentially, to do this, you will save a lot of money when it comes to water and electricity bills, which I will explain later. The second very important point, which is naturally the address of the property being leased. The third point, the agreed use of the tenement being let, always include residential. The fourth point, state whether the lease is extendable and in what way. Usually long lets in Malta are for a 1-year period. 3 months before the expiration of the lease, the landlord is obliged at law to send you a termination notice. If he doesn't, then the lease is extended under the same terms for a further period as you'd have agreed with the landlord. However, it is your right to leave should you wish. The fifth point is that the rent amount payable and how it will be paid, whether it's monthly, quarterly or yearly. The practice is that rent is paid 1 month in advance. The sixth point would be the amount deposited as a security guarantee. The norm is equivalent to 1 month's rent. However, it can differ. This will be refunded at the end of the lease, less damages if any. And the last point, the seventh one, which is very important, that you attach an inventory of the items and the property's condition. Housing Authority provides a standard format which you can download from their website. Check your inventory and the state of the property thoroughly in the presence of the owner. Take photos and send them to the agent and the landlord. This will avoid any potential disputes or claims on termination of your lease. A crucial point to be aware of is that rent increases cannot exceed the annual variation in the property price index published by the National Office of Statistics and is capped at a maximum of 5% per year. Also, the rent cannot be increased during the rental term, but only on extensions. Now, some points that you need to abide by. as a tenant. For long let contracts, you cannot withdraw from the contract within the first 6 months. If you cancel within the first 6 months, the landlord has the legal right to retain the damage deposit, or security deposit as I called it earlier, and collect any other due amounts. After 6 months, you can withdraw freely with no consequences, on condition that you give the landlord 1 month's written notice. If you give your landlord a verbal notice, I suggest you always follow it up in writing. Now, a few words about repairs. Minor repairs are usually borne by you, the tenant, including bulbs and other small items. More significant repairs, such as replacing a washing machine, would be at the expense of the landlord, unless the damage was willfully caused by yourselves. So, what is due when you sign an agreement? You would need to pay the equivalent of 1 month's rent as a damage deposit, your first month's rent, and 50% of the first month's rent plus 80% VAT as commission to the estate agent, if you used one. Note that there is no VAT tax on residential leases and no property tax in Malta. The norm is that your rent will not include water and electricity consumption or the cost of the internet. These need to be paid separately. Make sure that you add your water and electricity meter readings to the lease agreement. Take photos of the meters and send them to the agent and the landlord. Utilities are paid on a consumption basis, and rebates depend on the number of occupants. You can inform the utilities company of the number of occupants by downloading a form from the ARM's website. This is very important because you will have great saving on your water and electricity bills. Also, I suggest that you take your water and electricity readings on a monthly basis and send them to the landlord so he can send you a bill that he can generate on the ARM's website. Condominium payments. The norm is that the landlord pays for this. However, some landlords will ask for it to be paid separately, typically not included on luxury properties, and is always subject to negotiation. If you are asked to pay this, it's paid annually and it's extremely reasonable. It runs usually in the hundreds of euro. What I've spoken about so far is general information based on my experience, and it should not be construed as any legal advice. You should always consult your legal advisor for a more in-depth assessment to your situation. If you have questions about moving to amazing Malta, feel free to contact me, and as a Maltese, I will be more than happy to answer them. See you next time, and make it a great day.